Ah, what's up? What's up?
How are you?
Fine. What's with the new hairstyle? What's going on?
It's when my hair is just really, really unruly. I braid it or I do like hairband stuff because it's just not it doesn't want to work with me today.
Okay. Yeah, I think I have that kind of problem too. My hair's on really.
You don't?
Yeah, I no, I do
Well,
have that problem.
I'm considering cutting Ellie's hair off completely. Like today, I swear it took me almost 2 hours to brush through it, and she had like plants in it because she's been rolling in the grass. I just like I don't know, man, and she's screaming in pain. I'm like, I don't know how to help you. We've got to brush through it or cut it off. Like there's no other way. I don't know. So
Yeah,
my hair's always been pretty terrible with brushing. So poor thing has that from me. So she's suffering through
yeah.
being a girl.
I'm thinking of cutting this off, and every time I think of cutting it,
No, don't. I like it.
I'm getting tired of it. But yeah,
Really?
yeah.
How is it
Seven.
bothering you? I mean, I guess I don't have a beard, so I don't know. Is there maintenance to it
It's
and
not
all of
really.
it?
It's not that. It's just not my thing. I just did it because everybody said like, "Yo, try a new look." I like it, don't get me wrong, but I'm just like, it's really not my look. But we'll see.
If
We'll
you
see
don't
how it
feel
goes.
yourself, then you need to change it. That's
No, I mean,
crazy.
I don't know. We'll see. I'll cut it and see the difference. Like, okay, how do I feel with my normal look? And then if I feel
Right.
like,
It'll come back, right?
yeah, it'll come. My hair, my beard does grow a lot. It does grow fast. So I'll probably be like within a month or two, I'll probably have it all back again. But anyway, oh, everything's good and stuff. So
Everything's good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a busy couple of weeks. This week has been busy too, but for Easter, I think I've got like a couple of days off, like a mini vacation. So I
That's
don't go,
good. Yeah,
yeah, I don't
we
go
do
back.
too. Or we were thinking of going to the beach even. I don't know. Depends on the weather.
Yeah.
Can't
So
trust the weather these days.
yeah, no, 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 no. What beach you guys going to?
I don't know, it would depend. If we're just going for the day, we usually go to Isle of Palms by Charleston because it's really, really nice, like for the day.
Okay.
Um, if we ever consider staying anywhere for longer with the kids, we tend to go to Myrtle Beach just because there's affordable, like the hotel rooms in the like skyscrapers right by the beach.
Mm,
Because, with kids, like they gotta go potty, they're hungry again, they're tired, they forgot something, like you just go to the elevator, you go up and back down. I can't really be staying at an Airbnb where you have to get in the car, find parking, and then drive back if you forget something or if the kid has to pee. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So,
got it. Anyway,
yeah,
yeah, I don't go back to work until Tuesday, so I've got a couple of days off to just sleep and get some work done and all that kind of
rest.
stuff. Yeah.
Sounds
Anyway,
good.
let's go. Hit us off.
Welcome back, everyone, to Movie Unboxing with Marty and Bola. We are two filmmakers that like to talk about films in depth from a filmmaker's perspective. We unbox them and talk about what makes them tick and how they've been made and stuff. So,
So for this week, well, this month is Quentin Tarantino month. So we're gonna
it's
be
Tarantino Month.
unboxing a couple of Quentin Tarantino movies. And the one we picked for
Yeah.
this week, I think it was me that picked it, right?
Hmm.
It's Reservoir Dogs, the classic Reservoir Dogs. I have never watched it before, which is a travesty for a filmmaker to have never watched Reservoir Dogs. But we've watched Reservoir Dogs, so that's the movie we'll be doing today. It was released in 1992. This is still the heyday of
92?
92, the heydays
Oh my
of
gosh.
the independent. This is when independent filmmakers were really coming into the Hollywood scene. Quentin
Hmm.
Tarantino,
Hmm.
Spike Jones, Robert Rodriguez. These guys are like they're like how do I put it? They're the people that we as independent filmmakers are looking up to. Like, okay, they
Hmm.
made it there. So,
With
you
no
know,
budget at first.
with little to no budget. You know what I'm saying? So,
Hmm.
if they can make it there, then we can make it. So that's why,
Yep.
the 90s is really like a very transformative year of decade, especially the
Yeah.
early 90s for like independent filmmakers and stuff like that. The movie stars, there's a lot of like recognizable people here.
Hmm.
It stars Harvey Keitel as Mr. White. It stars Tim Roth as Mr. Orange. Michael Madsen, I think he passed away just about a year or two ago.
Oh, I know.
Um,
Such a travesty.
Yeah, Mr. Blonde. We've got Chris Penn, Sean Penn's brother. He passed away a few years ago too. He plays nice guy Eddie Cabot. Steve Buscemi, the legendary Steve Buscemi, Mr. Pink,
Mr.
and we
Pink.
have Quentin Tarantino himself. He plays in he acts in his movies. Mr. Brown.
He always does, but he doesn't live very
He doesn't what?
he doesn't usually live very long if he's in his own movies.
Yeah, yes. That's true. That's he doesn't stay that long. And then you've got and it's written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. So
Mhm.
essentially, this
Also, and I
movie.
want to give like an extra shout out for the director of photography, and that is something that I have noticed growing up as a when I was growing up, my uncle,
Mhm.
um, we are not blood related, but I grew up with him as an uncle because basically our parents had been like best friends for decades before I was even born. Um, is a cinematographer, very, very good one in Germany. Um, but he would always point it out to me. He was like, look at the cinematographer's name every single time without failure, especially with Quentin Tarantino. There, it's a full first and last name Polish. They're always Polish.
Really?
There's something about Polish people. They're always really, really good with cameras.
I'm gonna have to start taking note of that. Maybe you've missed. Maybe that's your calling. Maybe you need to be a cinematographer.
Maybe. I mean, that's my next goal to try and take some classes and to do some
Yeah.
cinematography and stuff.
So, the movie is essentially a heist movie, but
Hmm.
it's that's basically what it is. Just a heist movie. But in Quentin Tarantino style, it's not really a heist movie per se. It is a heist movie, but it's not about the heist. It's more about the
Never, not even
characters.
for a second.
What'd you say?
Not even for a second, really.
It's yeah, not even for a second. You don't even see anything about the heist. It's more about the characters and post-heist or pre-heist.
Mhm,
And Quentin Tarantino tells his stories in a very non-linear, very awkward ways and stuff like that, which is a independent filmmakers, most independent filmmakers tell their stories in different styles. It's,
mhm,
he's been one of the few independent filmmakers to have been able to transition that style, non-linear
mhm.
stuff into Hollywood because Hollywood generally doesn't let you do stuff like that. But,
Right.
he's one of the few filmmakers that, from the independent world, been able to transfer that non-traditional filmmaking style into big
And
budget
convince Hollywood to take him in,
and
basically.
convince Hollywood to take it. Even though Reservoir Dogs, I think, was an independent film, but
Mhm,
never, so it's never really a traditional Hollywood film. But he's been able to do that with a lot of Hollywood films, Pulp
mhm,
Fiction, and the rest moving forward.
mhm,
So essentially, these guys were brought together. They don't know each other from anywhere, and because this is a heist, they're being told they can't use their real names. So that's why they have to use these funny names: Mr. White, Mr. Orange, Mr. Brown, Mr. Pink.
Right. A security premise to
Security
not
issues, so that
give each
if
other
one of them
away,
gets
give each other
pinched,
up.
yeah, if
Hmm.
one gets pinched or gets caught, you don't know. You don't have any names to tell them,
You've got nothing
or
on them. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
nothing. So So we start the movie off with them meeting before they go for this heist. And then they first of all they start talking classic Quentin Tarantino films. It's
Yeah.
dialogue. It's heavy dialogue. Quentin
But
Tarantino
it's just so beautiful how the dialogue both introduces the characters really, really well and in depth. Like Mr. Pink is a shitlord. Like you already know.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
then at the end, like it's just leading up to the end of the film.
Hmm.
That is who we met in the very beginning. That's exactly who we met. But the dialogue is so often about nothing, like about nothing
Well,
related
it's
to.
it's nothing related to the movie, but like you said, it reveals who the characters are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Without because he with because in other, okay, so like in traditional film setting, it's like we meet a character and you got to set the environment to let us know
Mhm.
who this character without them even saying a word. That's not
No,
Quentin
he
Tarantino.
he
He
drops you right in.
he drops you right in and and then they just start the dialogue.
You
And the
get to know the
dialogue
people.
tells
Yeah.
you who they are and what they are, how
Hmm.
they talk, and who these
Hmm.
people are. And another thing about the dialogue is that it feels real.
Hmm.
It
Yeah,
feels like this
I
is how
agree.
people like if a
That's what I
bunch of
love
guys,
about his work so much.
yes.
So, because, yeah, I agree. So, there's a, and I don't know, so few people know this. And I used to be completely, when I was younger, completely obsessed with Tarantino. I was like, he was just my, it was all my favorite films and everything. Um, and so I used to watch these like crime TV shows with CSI. There used to be like CSI New York, CSI Miami, all of those.
Hmm.
Not a lot of people know this, but Tarantino actually did a double episode for one of those CSI shows,
Mm.
wrote and directed.
Oh, okay. I
And
didn't
the
know that.
biggest difference that you feel is that there's the scene where the cops that are like waiting the night shift or whatever are playing Monopoly and just having random conversations about nothing while they're like waiting for something or at a stake. Like you just feel him in it, right?
Yeah.
But the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's actually really interesting. If you ever have interviews as a filmmaker, people often give you this question, who would you like most want to work with, right? Dead or alive, like who would you want to work with? And I used to always want to say Tarantino, but I remember very specifically that that actor, the main actor from that CSI series, he was the one who was kidnapped and captured and buried alive in a casket in his like two episodes, and he was buried alive in the casket with like flesh-eating ants. And apparently afterwards in an interview, he said, I love Tarantino, I admire him, but I'm never working with him again because he was like, he needed it to look real, so he put me in there with the ants. And he was like,
Oh,
I'm not a
Jesus.
method actor, I don't want to do this shit.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, that's too much. That's too real and stuff like that. But his speech, his
Oh yeah,
dialogues
sorry.
are, and I've tried to model writing this dialogue as way just the same way too. Like, I want the dialogue to feel real. Like this is how
Right.
people will
And we're
talk.
all real people, right? Because
Yeah,
they
these.
forget that and they only give us the dialogue that we need to move the story along.
Yeah.
But there's moments that happen in between there. Like there's so often somebody's just gonna go take a piss in his films because that's life. Like we have to go to the bathroom. I'm still
Yeah.
waiting for him to make a joke about that. A girl that's really inconveniently dressed going to the bathroom because
Bathroom.
we
Yeah.
deal with that.
So the dialogue really reveals who the characters are, and the dialogues are very real. Like I can actually see people sitting there and just talking like that. And here's the funny
Mhm.
thing. They're supposed to be going to a heist, going for a heist. Anything could go wrong. Usually you're supposed to
Yeah.
be nervous. You're thinking about what's about to happen. You're probably going over the plan, like, oh, do we have the plan? No, they're just talking about
Yeah.
random bullshit. You know what I'm saying? That has nothing to do with the heist, nothing. And then they just said, okay, let's go. And so now we don't see the heist. We never see the heist. The next thing we see, we cut to the car
Blood.
with Harvey Keitel and Tim Roth, and he's in the backseat. Tim Roth is in the backseat, bloodied up, crying. And Harvey Keitel is
Screaming,
holding his
yeah.
hand, driving, saying, like, you're gonna be fine, you're gonna be fine. So you're like, what the hell happened? Obviously, you know that the heist went wrong.
Right.
It goes wrong. So they
And
take
then
him
you're
back.
playing catch up with the story a little bit,
Exactly,
right?
because you're trying to
You
figure out
just
what
get bits
happened.
and pieces.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not the non-linear tradition of editing and filmmaking and the plot unraveling. You get to the safe house, and so that's Mr. White and Mr. Orange. Mr. Orange is blooded, and they're trying to figure things out. And then Mr. White, Mr. Pink comes in, which is Steve Buscemi's
Mhm.
character, and he's just frantic. He's just like, "Oh, the cops were there. Somebody snitched. How the hell did they know?" He's like
Mhm.
going off and stuff. He doesn't even care that this guy's bleeding to death. He's like, "Fuck him, leave him alone." Um, Whatever. He just doesn't care. He's only thinking about himself, like trying to
Yeah,
get. And
the
he has
person
the
that wasn't gonna
diamonds.
tip the waitress. That's
Yeah,
like that's exactly that
yeah, he
personality,
didn't want to
right?
tip the waitress exactly. Like just an asshole, just a complete
Yeah.
asshole. And
Self-centeredness and stuff, yeah.
yeah, so essentially what the story is just going on with the fact that they're trying to figure out who snitched,
Hmm.
who tipped the cops off, because it just seemed like the cops were there waiting for them. Like there was no sirens,
Yeah,
nothing like that.
faster than the alarm could have gone
Yeah,
off and
so it
stuff.
feels like they walked into a trap. And I so I like I like the fact that I like his editing and directing style with regards to like first of all, let's talk about the camera angles, because I don't think there was well, there was a lot of close-up shots, very
Hmm.
exaggerated. They were almost like very exaggerated close-up shots because you felt like they weren't needed. But I think
Or
this
really, 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 really wide shot.
and really
Like
wide. So everything
where
was
you see
really
them
exaggerated.
standing and you have like all this wall behind them that you're like,
Exactly.
for what, you know?
For
But
what?
it's aesthetically so beautiful.
But here's my thing. I think because this was his first feature film, I think he was experimenting with what he
Mm.
could get away with. With what I think he was probably experimenting because you start to see it more moving forward in all of his other films. But I think this was the first time because I didn't get the purpose of the shots. Like I was trying to figure out why, there was no need for the
But he just has a style. So interesting. Whenever I was writing my film, and I remember talking to Trey for a long time on the phone because I needed to like write the shot list and kind of like how do I
Mhm,
do that and where do I go from here? And he was trying to walk me through the whole, close your eyes and like picture the film and like, and like look at your angles and stuff like that. But I remember him asking me at one point, so who's your favorite director? Because sometimes it might help to literally look at your favorite director
mhm,
and he will kind of teach you all the rules of filmmaking. Then
mhm.
you can translate them into your film. And I said Tarantino, and he went, well, shit. Because that's the one guy that breaks all the rules. Like he just doesn't follow any of them. And
Any
you can
rules?
feel it. You can feel that. So sometimes you feel like maybe it doesn't have a purpose but without it, it also would have been maybe a little bit too bland. You know what I mean? His films, that's what it is. Like it's his style plus the story. So the story itself would have been maybe too confusing if you hadn't like, and then when you have too long conversations, you don't want to have the exposition just on one person all the time. So you switch it to really close-ups to really wide shots, just to keep things, you know what I mean? Because
Yes, yes.
especially with
Because
like really long conversations that are about nothing. Like
so essentially,
people
most
would
of the
zone out if you wouldn't,
yes. So
make it visually
essentially,
interesting.
the movie, most of the movie takes place in that work safe house,
Hmm.
which feels like this could be a play.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So in other words,
Yep.
you have a play in a movie, so your cameras have got to move. There's got to be a wide shot here. It's got to be there's got to be a close up shot. You know what I'm saying? Then the camera has to got to pivot. It's got to move certain place, and it's slow. Remember the scene where Tim Roth's character shoots Michael Madsen, and then he's still
Hmm.
pointing the gun on the floor, and then the camera just slowly switches because you're like wondering like, is this guy dead? Is he dead? Is he dead? And he's just all
Hmm.
the way in the back there lying
Hmm.
down by the door and stuff like that. So I guess you're right with that. Like he has to because this most of it is the story's static and
Hmm.
it's in one place and it's just dialogue heavy. You've got to keep everyone engaged, and the one way to keep them engaged is to change the angles. So
Hmm.
I wonder how many
Make it
cameras.
visually interesting if
Yeah, I wonder how many
Mhm.
cameras he had for that scene. It's got to be like take a wild
I
guess.
would love to know a little more about like the making of this. I actually never looked into that. And of course you got to remember 92, right? I mean,
92.
that's a
Yes,
long time. So, things were very, very different. And especially for indie people were very, very different. But I'm very, very curious now. I'm actually probably going to look into that. I'm sure there's some making offs of it, and some more information about how, like, how many cameras and all that stuff. I'm thinking he probably had at least two,
I was thinking
but
maybe three or four.
maybe, I don't know.
Maybe three or four. Because and that's if they were shooting at the same time. If they're not shooting at the same time,
Yeah.
maybe two. But I would say maybe hey, hey. I would say like maybe three or four cameras simultaneously shooting, shooting at the same time. But
Hmm.
but the camera angles is the move. So and then his story now starts to go back for some of the characters to see their origin and how they got into this
Hmm.
heist. We see Mr. White. Mr. White's story was kind of boring to me. His pre heist story. Mr. Orange was a little bit interesting because we learned that he's actually he's the undercover cop.
So yeah, so that becomes that little mystery thing, right? The mystery
Hmm.
reveals it reveals itself with time. But
Yeah.
I liked Tim Roth's story. I did. he didn't get that many roles, and I'm kind of sad for him because he's actually a very, very strong, solid actor. I thought he did very, very well. Um, I liked his story, but yeah, whenever you watch that type of film with his specifically his films, the way he does them, sometimes you kind of have to go back a little
Hmm.
because the second or third time, and then you're like, oh, I get it now. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
he shows you all these relationships. So yeah, all these people amongst each other aren't supposed to know each other, but everybody knows that boss or the boss's
Yes.
son, right?
Yes.
And
Hmm.
everybody has a backstory with them. And sometimes you could like almost miss some of these moments and some of these like relationships that are ultimately what explains, for example, how the boss knew who the rat was and stuff, right?
Yeah. And I think I like the scene where he's telling the fake story that he walked into the bathroom, the restroom, and he saw these sheriff detectives with a dog. And I think, what
Hmm.
does he have in his bag? Like drugs or something like that?
Yeah, weed, I think in the story
Yeah,
it was
we
weed,
obviously it's a fake story, but
which dogs can smell though,
which
right?
and
Like
but
that's kind of
the
the
sheriffs
point.
don't even do nothing. They just tell the dog to shut up, and he goes about doing his thing. And he takes his time. He's like he
Hmm.
doesn't run or do anything like, because anybody that's got drugs in there will just run out of that. But he just goes to take a piss,
Yep.
goes to wash his hand, goes to dry his hand, and just walks out calmly. And the sheriffs do nothing. Absolutely nothing. I like that. That was a very good scene, even though it was a fake scene, but it was a
Yeah, the
good
fact
scene.
that they were showing that scene, like I like the progress of that story coming to life, where he is like first practicing it, he forgets his lines, then he's
Hmm.
practicing it in front of the mirror, and then transitions to him actually telling that story at a bar or at a meeting with these people, and it comes to life, and then you're actually showing this, like as in he told the story so well, people are picturing it.
Hmm. Yeah,
Because that was the whole point, right? What his
yeah,
partner or mentor said before, like you've got to sell it, you got to believe it yourself. And he,
yes, yeah. So he tells him that you got as an undercover cop, you got to be like Marlon Brando. You got to be a great actor. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? That's what he was telling him. And then obviously then you got Mr. Blonde's character who just gets out of jail
Hmm.
and but here's the thing, he's a psycho.
He's
But we don't,
crazy.
he's crazy, but
And
he does
also
not
literally one of my favorite actors. He did so good. He was so cool the
he was
whole time.
he's
How are
always
you
been
this
cool.
cool?
He's always been cool. Michael Madsen has always been cool in all of his movies. Always cool, playing cool and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'll ever want him as a good guy. I don't think I ever want him as a good guy. I want him playing as a bad guy all the time. And I
Yeah,
think,
that would also,
obviously
yeah.
he's always played a bad guy or somebody there's an antagonist or something. Maybe not a traditional
Hmm.
bad guy, but he's always like just been an antagonist. And he doesn't, there's no indication that this guy's crazy. No indication at all until
No,
he
because he's
gets,
too cool.
until he starts dealing with the police officer. And you're just like, are you about to cut his ear off? And I think he's about to do some really horrible things to the guy until, Tim Roth's character just, pulls the thing out and pulls the gun out and just starts, and that shot comes from nowhere. You didn't see that coming. You're just like, pop, pop, pop. And, just like, what in the world? Where did that come
Because
from?
you
Who's that?
forgot he's there. At one point, it gets quiet and you forget he's there.
Oh, yeah, because you're
You
assuming
forget
that this
about
dude
Mr.
should be dead.
Orange.
You're assuming he
Yeah,
should be
exactly.
dead
Did you
because
see
he's
the
been
amount of blood?
blood. It's like a pool. I'm like, why is this guy still alive? He should be dead. Like,
He's empty at this point.
I would put him out of his misery. Like, listen, there's no hospital. I'm
Right.
just gonna have to kill you. Just mercy killing. Like, there's just, yeah. And then there was just a lot. There was a lot of blood. There was a lot of blood. So in essence, everybody dies in this movie because even
Everybody.
Steve
No,
Buscemi's
not everybody.
who I
Mr.
think
Pink.
he died outside. Remember there was gunshots when he left. When he left, the
He
cops.
got
That's
caught
when
when he left?
yeah, he left, and then the siren
Damn, did
started.
I miss that?
Yeah, because that was when Javi
I
Cartel's
thought he
character.
escapes with the diamonds.
No, no, he didn't. That's when the Javi Cartel's character was now like, was hugging Tim Roth's character, and that's when he told him that, oh, I'm actually a cop. And then they were hearing the
Yeah.
sirens, and then outside there was gunshot, pa 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 pa. I'm assuming he got
Oh, I
killed,
didn't put that together.
and he
I
got
didn't
killed.
put together that they got him.
They got him.
Okay. I
I
think
think,
that's so, yeah, okay.
I think they got
I
him.
thought maybe it's open to your imagination. I want to believe that
No,
Mr.
I think
Pink is
they. I
out
heard it.
there
I was like, they got this
in
dude outside.
Hawaii somewhere.
Nah, they got him. They got all of them.
Well, he
And
deserves it, so.
yeah, he's a fucking asshole. He really is an asshole. But so there was really not much to unpack here in terms of like the camera angles. I mean, we already talked about that. Um, Obviously, the most jarring thing here with it being that this is Quentin Tarantino's first feature film, it was still shot in an independent way, was just the non-linear way the movie was told and the heavy.
Is it the first one or is Jackie Brown the first one?
No, 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 no. This is the first one. This is
This is the
1990. Jack,
first one?
Jackie Brown was like 96 or 97. Remember, Pulp Fiction
Oh,
came out.
really?
Pulp Fiction came out before Jackie
94.
Brown.
Pulp Fiction is 94,
94.
yeah.
Yeah. So Jackie Brown,
Okay.
I'm thinking probably Jackie Brown was probably 97 or 98, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? So
97, you're right.
97,
97.
yes. Okay. So, and Pulp Fiction was 94. This one was 92.
All right.
So I think this is obviously his
Damn,
first.
my first ever film wasn't this good.
Yeah, this first film. So it was a feature film. His first feature film. Obviously, he's done some short films before, but this was his first feature film. So the non-traditional linear way the story is being told, the heavy reliance on dialogue and how dialogue creates this, dictates the character, dictates. It also dictates the scene. You know what I'm saying? It paints,
Yeah.
it's so detailed that you, even if he didn't tell you, he didn't
It
show you.
immerses you. It's very,
Yes.
very immersive.
Yeah, it's
But
got a lot of.
also it immerses you into the situation with these people,
Mhm.
but almost pulls you away for a second from the
the,
drama. Like,
the
because you
drama,
have
yeah.
these conversations. And like I said, you even for a minute forget that this guy just is dying over there, or
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? But
Yes.
it puts you more in the middle of it, I feel like, because when at that first scene when they're all at that table talking,
Mhm.
you actually almost feel like you want to say something too, like you're part of this conversation, you're part of that breakfast, and you're about to tip the waitress. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Because when they was
they
arguing about
do.
the tipping, I was like, motherfucker, just tip, just leave something. I was about to just
Yeah.
grab him or something like that. But here's one of the criticism I have about the film. Now,
Hmm.
I have, it's the constant use of the N word. I didn't think it was needed.
It was
And
never needed.
it
Not
was
once was
never.
it actually needed.
So go ahead, go ahead.
But so, and I actively noticed it this time. I don't know when is the last time that I've watched this film, many, many, many years ago.
Mhm.
And I might have admittedly been a little less aware of it at the time, because I was much, much younger and stuff. Um, but it like actively bothered me every time, you know.
So,
And then
and
when Steve Buscemi's character says it,
mhm.
it fits. It fits the character. So it just makes him more nasty. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But
So
yeah.
my thing
And
with go ahead, go ahead, go ahead,
yeah,
go ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, so this was my first time watching this. So over the years, I've seen a lot of Quentin Tarantino films, and he's used that word, and he's gotten a
Hmm.
lot of criticism for using that word too loosely, like it's too much.
Hmm.
And he's always said that I have the creative license, which he does. And I've always like, yeah, he has the creative license. But in this film, I just felt like it just wasn't needed this much. Like, why?
No,
Why was he being
I
used
agree.
this much?
So, and I don't know too, because well, first of all, 92, I was 2 years old, but
Yeah.
also growing up in Europe, like it was all a little bit different. But and so I don't know for me specifically, like, did people just use it more freely back in the early 90s? Was it like that? I don't know. You know what I
I
mean?
I don't
I
know. I don't.
think he's trying to shock people. I think he loves to shock people with everything he does in his films. He likes to be outrageous. It's almost like what they do nowadays online, where they will post something that they know you will disagree with. It's
Mhm.
called rage bait.
Yeah.
Because do you know
And
how
at the
many
end,
comments you'll get under your rage bait post?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yes, I guess what you're saying because sometimes I'll see like some podcasts, they'll have like a controversial person that that doesn't make any sense. He's clearly lying. The person is just lying all the time. I'll be like, why would you invite this person to talk to? But then I realize like, okay, because this person is going to say controversial things, people are going
So
to
yeah,
click.
no, but clickbait, like in a rage bait sense, for example, you might get a lot of clicks on this podcast if you title it something along the lines of like, "We hated Tarantino" or something, like, you know what I mean? So many people are gonna jump right on that, be like, "What do you mean?" You know what I mean?
Should we try
Like,
that?
Try it. I don't know.
Let's try it.
Try
Let's
it.
try it. Let's
But
try
you
the
know what I
title.
mean? And I do genuinely think it's possible that that's what he's trying to do
Yeah.
because it
Well,
really was unnecessary.
it
I
was it
like,
was completely, and this is the first film, which because it's ironic because I've seen a lot of his other films.
mhm.
I've heard it, especially used, and I've just like just dismissed it, never really thought about it,
Was it
even though
overused? Because I don't like I actively don't recall right now. I
I,
mean,
I
I'm
think it's
guessing it's a lot in Django Unchained. That's
oh
gonna
yeah,
be my guess.
but
That's
in Django Unchained, it fit that
it makes
time.
the
It was set
story
in that
right.
time. It was set
Yeah.
in that time. So it kind of fits. But other
Yeah.
movies, I'm just like, okay, now I'm now it's not putting into light to me like, okay, now I understand why Spike Lee is very critical of Quentin Tarantino
Yeah.
using that word just all the time. But not
Hmm.
you just said, um, he's trying to shock people. So it makes a little sense now.
Yeah,
But
people are
still,
talking about it, right? They're still talking about it.
they're
Like,
still talking
I
about
mean,
it.
he's achieved
So
it. I
if for
think.
me, I would like it's a little too much. Especially in this
Hmm.
movie, it was very noticeable because I'm just like, what's the point? You
Hmm.
could have just instead of just using the N word, you could have just said, oh, black guys or black girl this, black
Hmm.
girl that, black guy this. That's all you could have just said instead of just using that
Never
word
mind the fact that there was also very short on black people in this particular film. He always is very, very
inclusive.
there's yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot.
yeah,
And but here's another thing too. Um, I think he's such a fan. He's a product of the 70s because a lot of the
yeah.
music in his movies are 70s based. You
Hmm.
just feel like you should be smoking weed every time you watch a Quentin Tarantino film or be doing some kind of speed drug or something like that
Yeah,
in his films. I think the style of his filmmaking is also has a 70s feel to it too. Because if you
yeah.
watch a lot of movies made in the 70s, there's a little bit of that influence in his films that I see
Well,
all the
and you
time.
know how he became a filmmaker, right? He worked at a video
Yo, store.
cassette store
Yes.
and he just kept watching old movies at
on
work.
as yeah, he watched a lot of
So
the black
that's what that would
exploitation.
be, a
Yeah, the black
70s
exploitation movies
film.
from the 70s.
Yeah.
And he watched a lot of movies from the 70s and he never went to
Yeah.
film school. So that's how his knowledge of film
Yeah.
was developed and his interest in film was developed and stuff like that. I also think he also told a story that he kind of grew up in an environment where there was just a lot of different races, like there were blacks, whites, Latinos, and stuff like that. And he heard those derogatory words all the time, and people
Mhm.
just using it and stuff like that. So it's quite possible that that also your environment influences your filmmaking, in your interest in what topics you like to deal with and stuff like that. So, but this was the first film that I realized, it was just a little too much and I didn't, and that it kind of like it usually doesn't
Yeah.
bother me, but this time it just bothered me because just like
It bothered me too. Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
was just
it
like
bothered me
there was
too.
just no need to use that word, in this
Mhm.
context for Django
But
Unchained.
now that you say that, if he grew up in an environment where people just talk that way,
Mhm,
then and he's trying to immerse you into real talk of like real conversations, and that's
mhm.
what he knows. I don't know. It's
Well,
yeah.
I think that
I want to chalk it up to it's really, really old and maybe it used to be a little bit less
yeah, I would. I mean,
like I mean it
I
never was less bad, but you know what I mean.
yeah, I mean, I would. That could be true in that sense, but that would be like saying, okay, that would be like if he used the word the N word, but he doesn't get too much blowback for it. And then I use the a word that's derogatory towards like maybe Jews or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And especially when it's not
Yeah.
necessary. And I just keep using it all the time.
No,
Or
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
or maybe for Middle Eastern people or something like that, or Asian people. That could be, deemed that could be seen as not, that could be bad, as a
Mhm.
filmmaker and be like, okay, you
Yeah,
do have
I agree.
creative license, but you're overusing it because it's not the context doesn't fit it. But I
It
think
doesn't, yeah. It's
it
just
doesn't fit it.
that's what I'm saying. And so
Yeah.
my assumption of like as much as it's used in Django Unchained, it probably it fits the premise. There's a story behind that.
Hmm.
But this one, yeah. I
Yeah. It
agree.
just
I agree
I didn't think it.
wholeheartedly.
But yeah. So but he has creative license, and also you don't as an artist you don't want to take people's creative license away because you do want them to be able to be free to tell their stories, and
Hmm.
and that's the beauty of it. So that being said, what do you give this movie since you've seen it so many times? Now that you've
No,
seen
I
it
think,
the first time after a very long
man,
time,
yeah, I know. So Tarantino films for me are perfection. They are, but I'll probably give it an 8 again.
you gonna give
I'll
it an
probably
eight?
stick with an 8. Yeah.
I will give this. You know what? Coming into this, I said I was gonna give it a six.
Hmm.
Because even though it's a Tarantino film, it's not quite. This is still his first film, so he's still finding his legs and stuff like that. I mean, this is a
No, but the
if
style is just so cool. Like
cool.
everything about it is so cool.
So I'm saying like if this was his first film and then his second film is Pulp Fiction, that's a big jump. It's a big
Yeah.
jump from that to Pulp Fiction. I would give this a seven, only because I just made that decision right now based on what we just talked about.
Hmm.
I'll give it a seven. I'll give it a very strong seven, because this is his first film, and the second film that he makes, Pulp Fiction. I mean, it's a big leap.
Is there a big budget jump there? My guess is there's a big budget jump because he has
Well,
so
I
many more
think
locations too. Like with this
yes,
one, I see the indie in it whenever
yeah.
we're down to this really small one location and a half.
Well, remember now, this is still the early 90s, so a lot of these independent films were getting a lot of we're getting a lot of play in Sundance Film Festival and Tribeca Film
Yeah.
Festival. This was the golden era of the indie films. This was when they were
Hmm.
just, they were coming out, like I said, Spike Jonze, Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino, um, you know, the list goes on. Then there's some of them that come out of the music video genre too around this time, like the Michael Bays and all that kind of stuff. This was the
Hmm.
golden era of like independent filmmakers and the non-Hollywood filmmakers just popping out. So,
Hmm.
Hollywood and the film festivals this was, your film got into a film festival like that, your career was set. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So I think
Yeah.
this got into a film festival like maybe Sundance or something like that. I didn't do the research on that, but I think he went into Sundance and it got great reviews. I think he made some good money in the box office too.
Hmm.
And so he was able to like command bigger budget for because on this movie in this movie the only big star in this movie is Harvey Keitel. I don't know if Michael Madsen was a big star. Obviously, Steve Buscemi and all the other actors were just recognizable, but they're not big
No,
stars.
I don't think Steve Buscemi even was. I think Tarantino brought out Steve Buscemi. Did he
Brought him
not?
out. Okay. So,
I
but
think so. I'm not sure.
In Pulp
He's a
Fiction,
big
he
actor
has,
now. Same with
yeah, yeah.
Michael Madsen. I don't think he was that big back then.
I don't
I'm
think
not
they were
sure.
big too, but moving forward, he gets John Travolta,
Hmm.
Samuel Jackson. Even though I think Samuel Jackson, that was Samuel Jackson's coming out party. I think he was just in a lot of movies, but not a star yet. That made him a star. But John
Hmm.
Travolta, Uma Thurman, Um, who else was in there? John Voight. I mean, they were, and like you said, there were different sets, different scenes and stuff like that. So he could
Hmm.
go places with that. The production value was a little better
Yep.
in Pulp Fiction than that. So I would give this movie Reservoir Dogs a seven, being that this was his first movie, being that this is and I get if I get the interview get the opportunity to interview him, I want to ask like those camera shots and those angles. Were you just experimenting just to see if you could get away with it, if it would work, and then you were able to take it to another notch moving forward with Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Well,
I
you
would love
learn after each film. Every single film you make, you've
oh,
learned something again. Like
trust
I
me.
know already a lot of things that I'm not gonna do after the marketplace. Like,
With Killer Sinners and Spies, I have learned a whole lot. I'm like, whoa,
yeah, I
okay.
bet.
I'm like, okay, now I know what to do moving forward. I've learned
Never cast Marty again. Check.
that was first. That was first. Never cast Mark again. That was the first. I was like, definitely not casting this girl again. Nah. But yeah,
I
so
knew it.
I'll give it a seven. All right. So what's the
Sounds
movie for
good.
next week? Still on the Quentin
Once
Tarantino.
Upon
So
a Time
far.
in Hollywood. We're gonna jump from first to newest.
Okay, so Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Hmm.
Okay, that's the next film. We'll watch that and we're gonna unbox that next week. All right, y'all.
Sounds good.
That is our episode for today. Thank you guys very much. Happy Easter Friday and Good Friday and then Easter Sunday. We'll see you guys next week. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave comments. And if you haven't seen Once
Tell us what
Upon
you think of Tarantino because we hate him.
yeah, we hate Tarantino. That's gonna be the title. We hate Tarantino. Trust. Let's try that. Let's just try that. We're gonna
Try
try
it.
that. All right, y'all. That's the episode for today. Bye bye.